Forward looking. Lay it off. Touchdown! Patrick! Ariel sends it in. Off of Gressel. Made it to Elliott. Oh! Julian Carranza! A spectacular finish! Philadelphia.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and the Philadelphia Union, they apparently can't not lose a game. Defeating Chicago Fire by a score of 1-0 thanks to a penalty kick goal by Bruno Damiani in the 10th minute of the game. Hopefully you guys were able to stay up and watch that game all evening long. As, you get an early goal in the game and not much else happens, or at least not too many more clear-cut chances in this game. And so all the excitement that you guys get happens in the first 10 minutes of this game with Bruno Damiani getting goal number 3 on the season. But so happy to be back. Hopefully you guys have had a good week. Hopefully you guys are making out well in the heat. That this crazy heat dome, it seems like we have on us over here in the Northeast, right? Would we be considered Northeast? You guys are in Philly, right? Can we consider ourselves here in Maryland, Northeast? I don't know. We're going to claim it here. East Coast. We can definitely say East Coast. That's for sure. But yeah, hopefully you guys have had a good week. I know for me personally, it's been a pretty challenging couple of weeks and everything, but super excited to come back and do the podcast live again. Obviously, Jose Nunez and I did not give you guys a show last week. We just figured, there's not too much for us to talk about. One of the things that we potentially could have talked about, we'll talk about here coming up myself. No Jose Nunez here, obviously, tonight, because if Jose was here, I would have went and introduced him to you guys a while ago. Jose is down at Lincoln Financial Field covering the Real Madrid game tonight. So I hope you guys have been enjoying Jose's coverage of the Club World Cup, as well as Kyle Almaney's from the One Team We Agree On. I've not watched a single bit of the Club World Cup, but reading their articles and everything, it definitely does get you in the feel that, something special is brewing in Philadelphia with the Club World Cup. And it has to get you excited for the World Cup come 2026 in Philadelphia. And we are truly in, I think, people have been coining this as summer of soccer here in America, with the Gold Cup, with the Club World Cup, with MLS going on. Yeah, so it really is. It does feel like the summer of soccer. You have all these tournaments going on. And yeah, of course, Union soccer doesn't stop. You do have the Frankfurt friendly coming up on August 2nd. But why go ahead and look that far ahead when we're still only on June 26th? So still weeks away from that friendly. But yeah, it truly does feel like a special time in the city of Philadelphia with all the soccer going on. And yeah, hopefully you guys are watching a lot of it. And I think, the reason all you guys are here is because of the Philadelphia Union. Sure, you might have your European teams. You may have your interest watching a national team. And at the end of the day, we're all here to discuss, talk about the Philadelphia Union. Go ahead, pull up you guys' comments, because as always, when I do these solo shows, you guys are going to have to carry the show with your comments and your questions, because that's what makes this show go so much better with you guys, the chat. Michael says, hello and welcome. What's up, Michael? Love the picture of Alejandro Bedoya there you have. John says, to the Free Kick Podcast. Shaggy says, let's go. Jarrett says, hey, let's go. Shaggy says, feels like it's been forever since I've seen Todd. Michael says, Todd the God. Shout out to Denny and Chris from the Battered Herons. John says, crazy thunderstorms going on right now, assuming in Philadelphia. Shaggy says, we're considered the Mid-Atlantic. Yeah, that probably is right. Michael says, it's baking out here. Glad they didn't have to play at home. Chicago seemed much more fair. It's a good point. 72, I think it showed on the broadcast the time of kickoff for the game, and did definitely look a little bit foggy. And I'm like, man, I would love to be in Chicago. Was there last year for the game, and if I'm not mistaken, that game was also on a Wednesday, but it was during 4th of July, so much more manageable to take off of work when you already had a couple of days off because of 4th of July. So a little bit disappointed that I wasn't able to get down to Chicago this season. Shaggy says, Todd the God, love it. Yeah, again, shout out Danny and Chris from the Battered Herons. Love what they do there covering Inter Miami. And they also have an MLS show too, which I haven't been on in a while. So Chris and Danny, I know you guys are watching this. when are you guys going to invite me on that? Shaggy says, we're here for you, Todd. Ha, ha, ha. Vince says, hi, Todd. Union 2 and weather delay so I can listen. I appreciate that, Vince. And I'm assuming you're at the stadium. So I have no clue how you have service if you are indeed at Subaru Park for the Union 2 Revolution 2 match. Michael says, better result this year in Chicago. Much better result in Chicago this year with Union squeaking out a 1-0 victory. Should have won last year, right? I still have PTSD from that game going to it. Union up 3-1, give up 3 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game, lose that one 4-3. Unbelievable performance from Oliver Zemla in that game. Union should not have lost that game. And yeah, from what I can recall, Jim Curtin was not too happy after the match and wasn't really in the greatest of moods to talk. But he is always a man of the people, and he will always talk to the media. So yeah, that actually brings up a good point to me, right? Because I was thinking about this earlier today at work. I'm like, man, Chicago seemed like it could have been a potential great idea to go to for an away game if it wasn't on Wednesday. You obviously have the Nashville game next weekend, but 4th of July weekend, I can only imagine how expensive Nashville is for 4th of July, how crowded it will be for 4th of July. What away games are you guys going to, the listeners? As always, we're always live on YouTube when we record the podcast, youtube.com/freekickpod. Appreciate everybody that's commented so far. But anybody in the listeners, you guys listening back to this podcast that aren't listening live, do you guys have any away games planned? I know for myself, a lot of people have asked, and it looks like only DC United and New York Red Bulls this season for me. Maybe Charlotte. We'll see what that is. I mean, I'll be down in South Carolina a few weeks before that Charlotte game. So do I really want to go back down south when I was just down there? We'll see what happens. Michael comments here, says Red Bulls in August. Yeah, it's always a great away trip. And a lot of Union fans always travel up to Harrison, New Jersey for that. So hopefully that continues to be the case. John said went to Orlando, so that's probably it for this season. And yeah, that's interesting too, because as you guys know, I love fishing. And it just so happened when I was in Disney this year, I went on a chartered boat, got to fish in, where did I fish? God, in the Epcot area. I fished at like the yacht club, the boardwalk area, a little bit of Hollywood Studios. And my tour guide was an Orlando City fan, and his brother, I believe he told me, covers Orlando City. So we spent a lot of time talking about soccer. I feel like we talked more about soccer than fishing. And he tried so hard to convince me to come down in a couple of weeks for that game, but I was like, I don't know if I can swing it. Obviously didn't happen. But yeah, Orlando, great stadium. I was down there in January for the U.S. men's national team friendly against Costa Rica, I believe it was. Got to see Jack McGlynn after the game, so that was awesome. Shaggy says, away games, I'm a season ticket holder. I is poor. Hey, look, at least you get out to the home games, Shaggy, that is for sure. John says it was a good time, but very expensive to go. Yeah, I mean, Florida in the wintertime when it's not too hot, too humid, tends to be a little bit more pricier, but beautiful stadium when I was there, and I hope you enjoyed yourself there, John. Really good game to see the Union win 4-2 against Orlando City, and yeah, I mean, I think if you would have told Union fans that, yeah, this is how the season's going to go, they're going to continue to win, be on an 11-game winning streak at the beginning of the year, a lot of fans would have told you, yeah, no way that's going to happen. But little did we know, maybe some of us knew, that this is what we were going to see from the Philadelphia Union all season long, just win, win, win. And they continue to find themselves in first place in the Supporters Shield standings with 40 points. But again, yeah, if you guys are going to away games, let me know. Vancouver seems a little bit exciting, but I can only imagine. I checked a while ago, and flights were really expensive to get out to Vancouver. So I can only imagine what they look like now, the closer we get to September. But regardless, yeah, absolutely love traveling to away games, love getting out to Subaru Park, and it does feel a little bit weird that, yeah, we have to wait a couple more weeks until we're back at Subaru Park. The Union have that U.S. Open Cup game against New York Red Bulls, and then the week after, a couple days afterwards, then they play New York Red Bulls again at home in league play. So looking forward to getting back to Subaru Park, looking forward to talking Union soccer with you guys tonight. And again, everybody in the comment section, thank you guys so much for just carrying the show so far. But as I said, Jose and I, we talked, should we go live last week? We decided not to. And one of the topics that we could have talked about is something that we're about to discuss right now. So without further ado, let's get straight into the news. All right, so the first bit of news we're talking about is the Thomas Müller to Union rumors. And I'm sure you guys have all seen this by now. Thomas Müller potentially going to the Philadelphia Union. It's crazy to think about that the Union are linked with such a historic player, a player that's won everything with Bayern Munich, a player that's won the World Cup with Germany. When I think of German players, great German players, I think of a Bastian Schweinsteiger. I think of a Thomas Müller. I think of a Beckenbauer. I think of a Gerard Müller. And Thomas Müller being linked with the Philadelphia Union. I mean that is as big as it gets. And credit to Jonathan Tannenwald in the Philadelphia Inquirer. I'll leave a link in the show description if you guys haven't read his report on this. But Tannenwald was saying, according to his sources, that Müller and his camp were looking for a salary between $8 to $10 million a year, and the Philadelphia Union absolutely were not going to pay that. And I saw a lot of people on social media really upset when they saw the rumors come out that the Union were linked with Thomas Müller. A lot of fans saying, "Oh, why are the Union being cheap? This is typical Philadelphia Union. Why don't they go out and get this player? This player would be the kind of player that Union fans have always wanted." But when you see reports that he wanted $8 to $10 million, the Union would never pay that, because let's not forget that the highest paid player right now for the Philadelphia Union is Mikel Uhre, and the MLSPA guide for the salaries just came out 2 days ago, I believe it was. And I thought about, if I talk about that on the show tonight, this is going to be a very long show. So we'll talk about that on Monday when we do the match recap of the Columbus Crew versus Philadelphia Union game that happens on Sunday. But Mikel Uhre making $2.2 million this season in guaranteed compensation. And so you're talking about 4 times the price Thomas Müller is looking at from what Mikel Uhre gets. And the Union would never pay that. And I don't blame the Philadelphia Union. I think for me, and again, talking about Thomas Müller, maybe I should have talked about the salaries tonight. But the Union, the way that they structure their wages, the 29th out of the 30th highest spending teams in MLS. They don't spend crazy like an Inter Miami, like a Toronto. And I get it. Some fans say that's not what we're asking, but we are asking to go out and get bigger players. And my argument for that would be, yeah, I agree. Go out and spend $5-6 million getting a young upcoming player. I'm not saying you need to spend that high in salary, because as things stand, and I keep bringing it up, might as well just talk about the highest paid players in MLS. Messi's obviously number one at $20.4 million. Then you have Insigne with Toronto at 15.4. Then you have Sergio Busquets at 8.7. And so Thomas Müller is asking to be the third or fourth highest paid player in MLS. Miguel Almiron with Atlanta United, they're at $7.8 million. And yes, Thomas Müller, he's won everything there is, like I said, with Germany, with Bayern Munich. He's a player that would be great for this team, I think, with just his experiences, everything that he's seen. He scored with Bayern Munich 292 goals, 281 assists in over 60,000 minutes played. I mean, this guy is a goal scorer, but he's great for the locker room. He's a character. And Bradley Cornell was asked about hypotheticals during the week for if the Union were to go out there. And yeah, Bradley Cornell talked about the personality that Thomas Müller brings to our locker room. And he said, we do have our Thomas Müllers here, and a Jovan Lukic and Indiana Vasilev. And yeah, that may be true and everything, but you don't have the winning quality, a player that's won a World Cup like Thomas Müller, a player that's won a World Cup with Bayern Munich. And I'm not saying that or UEFA Champions League, World Cup with Germany and a Champions League with Bayern Munich. But I'm not saying that the Union need a player like that, but it would be interesting to see a historic player, kind of like Schweinsteiger when he went to Chicago Fire, right? Everybody knew that he didn't have the legs, but to see a class player like Schweinsteiger with Chicago Fire, like, that's a huge deal and everything. But at the end of the day, I don't blame the Union for not wanting to pay $8 to $10 million. Ernst Tanner said, "I've already been offered Thomas Müller. I still have good relations with Thomas's advisors, but from the financial perspective, that's absolutely unthinkable for us." And it is. And Ernst later went on talking to Sky Sports Germany when the report came out. They reported it. He said, "We're a developmental club, and every year we have the second to lowest budget." He said, "With it, you also have to think a little bit about the team. When someone suddenly earns much more than everyone else, you wonder why you're even here. A big name like Thomas Müller needs to go to a club that suits him, like a LAFC, which it's being reported that he's going to go to, like Cincinnati's trying so hard to get Müller for them. But yeah, just $8 to $10 million, because I don't blame Ernst Tanner. You see this in soccer, and I'm a Manchester United fan, and they've absolutely killed their wage structure, which is handing out these asinine contracts to players that do not deserve the wages that United are playing them. They don't live up to what they're being paid. And if the unions start doing that, then you're going to have players come and say, hey, look, so-and-so is making this much money, because all this information is public. You don't think the players talk about this? You don't think that they see this? You don't think their agents are looking at this saying, hey, look, well, my client has 13 goals this season. He should probably be getting paid DP money. Ty Baribo, that's the player I'm talking about. We'll talk about that more on Monday. But players and agents absolutely talk once this data becomes available. And once it's reported that Thomas Müller is making between $8 to $10 million, yeah, more players in that locker room are going to be upset, and you don't want to have a disgruntled locker room. And so, yeah, I would absolutely love to see the union go out and spend that type of money bringing players in, but maybe not so much on the wage structure. You have John saying here, you can't have one player make that much more than the rest. Pretty simple, to be honest. Shaggy says, I'm okay not spending that much on Müller, not a 35-year-old striker who's about to be 36, I believe, in September. John says, exactly, would be awesome to see him play, but not realistic. Shaggy says, all I see is Olivier Giroud, but in Philly. And yeah, exactly. That's a great comparison. It's not really working out for Giroud in LAFC. And I see there's reports out there that Lyon, I believe I saw Tom Bogert, I think, talking about that, being interested in taking Olivier Giroud. And I do believe LAFC would probably want to get Giroud off of their books, making $3.6 million this season, a player that's not scoring the goals like they would have helped, but he is a big name player. And Michael says here, we can find our own Thomas Müller. And yeah, that is true, right? I mean, but at the same time, when you have a player like Müller coming through the Bayern Munich Academy that's been at Bayern Munich his whole life, it doesn't typically happen with the Philadelphia Union, because as Ernst Tanner says, we're a developmental club. The Union bring players up through the academy. They eventually sell them. How many times do you guys see people on social media complaining about, the players aren't staying here long enough, that we never get the opportunity to see these players spend more than a couple seasons in Philadelphia? And with a developing league like MLS, a selling league like MLS's, there's no issue. You guys have heard me talk about that in the past multiple times. Most leagues in the world are selling leagues. But yeah, I do think that the Union could go up and spend that money better. And you look at Müller again, not taking anything away from him. 35 years old, soon to be 36, 8 goals, 8 assists in 47 games for Bayern Munich this past season in 1,910 minutes played. So, yeah, realistically, it would be cool to see Thomas Müller in a Philadelphia Union jersey, but for a player that's asking $8 to $10 million, absolutely would not give him that. Let's go to news point number 2. That is the MLS All-Star Game. Ty Baribo and Jakob Glesnes both selected for the Philadelphia Union. And so it's interesting. I don't know if you guys were aware of this, how Jakob Glesnes got into the All-Star roster. That was a coach's decision. Jakob Glesnes was selected by Nico Estevez, the head coach for Austin FC, who's going to be the coach for the MLS All-Stars when they face off against the Liga MX All-Stars. So Jakob Glesnes selected by the coach. That's his third All-Star appearance, 2012, 22, 2023, and now 2025. That is the second most in club history behind goalkeeper Andre Blake, who holds the club record with 4 selections. And Jakob Glesnes, and we'll talk about him plenty tonight here on the show, had a phenomenal game against Chicago Fire last night. And well deserved to see Jakob Glesnes get selected into the roster. And then Ty Baribo, there's no debating this. Now the question is, will he be healthy enough come time for the All-Star game? We do know that that Ty Baribo is here in the U.S. He is back from Israel. Got out of the country safely, which is good to see. We saw his fiance or wife now, post on Instagram when they landed in Philadelphia. The Union posted a video earlier today showing him arriving at the airport and then them announcing to him that he's going to be a 2025 MLS All-Star. The All-Star game will be on July 23rd on a Wednesday in Austin, Texas. And that game will be on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV for all that want to watch that. But yeah, I mean, great honor for Jakob. Great honor for Todd, who got voted in by fans, media, and players. But the one player that I have an issue not making the All-Star game is Kai Wagner. I think we all know Kai is the Union's best player. Maybe some of you guys would say, okay, he's not the best player, top 3 player, definitely. But in my opinion, he is the Union's best player, creates so many chances for the Union. I think he's the best left back in the league. A lot of people want to go ahead and say that, oh, no, that's Jordi Alba, blah, blah, blah. But come on, let's be realistic, right? Is Alba defending as good as Kai Wagner? Is he creating as many chances as Kai Wagner? No. It's a lot of bias going on because he's a former Barcelona player. That's why Jordi Alba is going to go ahead and always get all these accolades. That's why these former Barcelona players and Inter Miami, whenever they're up for voting awards, they're always going to go ahead and win goals and whatnot because you have all these people coming over because they're Barcelona fans. But Kai Wagner not being selected, what are we doing? I mean, that should be Blunder of the Week, right? It's not Blunder of the Week, but it absolutely should be Blunder of the Week. If you're Kai Wagner, you're probably a little bit upset. It's like, what more do I need to do? But look, maybe he'll enjoy the rest, and I'm sure him and his family will go on vacation or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing to not see Kai Wagner in the All-Star game. I mean, I thought he would have been a clear lock, but it is what it is, right? Pat Bernard says, Todd Father, what's up, my man? I believe Pat has a show tonight at 9 p.m. for Union fans want to go ahead after this and check that out. Pat, go ahead and let people know where people can find you on social media if they want to go and get back-to-back Philadelphia Union shows. Shaggy says, don't care, but all MLS seasons, how Kai Wagner not MLS All-Star? Yeah, exactly. How is Kai Wagner not an All-Star? I mean, it's so dumb. And Jillian says, hi, Todd. Union 2 and a weather delay. Assuming you have good Wi-Fi in the press box, appreciate you, Jillian, watching the show while there's a weather delay going on in Subaru Park for the Union 2 game. John says, seems harsh not to have Kai in there too. Absolutely. Shaggy says, Rick's got to be our starter going for it. Why mess with the formula if it's working? Blake looks so slow in international duty. Jillian says, Kai was robbed. Absolutely. Cole, what's up, Cole? Says Kai's one of the most tackles in the league. Yeah, it's insane how fans just didn't vote him in or the coach didn't vote him in. Jillian says, yep, killing some time here. Mark Milano says it's about to rain. And he puts it in all uppercase. Rain. Let's go ahead and look outside here in Maryland. Not going to rain here. I mean, we don't get rain down here in Maryland. So I'm glad you guys get to enjoy rain. Maybe later tonight, but not during the show. So yeah, that is the 2 news points that I wanted to talk about, with Thomas Müller being linked to the Philadelphia Union, Ty Baribo and Jakob Glesnes both getting into the All-Star game, and Kai Wagner getting robbed. Let's go ahead and talk about last night's game. Chicago Fire versus Philadelphia Union. Union, as we all know, won that game 1-0 thanks to a Bruno Damiani penalty kick in the 10th minute. And man, I have a lot to talk about this game. I mean, in particular, about Alejandro Bedoya and Jakob Glesnes. We're not going to get into that yet. Don't worry, guys, that when you hear me not talking about them right away, they're going to be a big part of the show. We're going to hear from Bradley Cornell after last night's game, his comments on both players' performance. But I think Damiani getting that goal last night, that was huge. Stepping up. We know Bradley Cornell said it in the past, and he confirmed it again last night, that Bruno Damiani, when he's on the field, is the designated penalty kick taker. Gets his 3rd goal of the season, appeared in 18 games so far for the Union, 10 of those starts. It's his first goal since April 26th against DC United. And that's just a much-needed confidence booster right there for Bruno Damiani, a player that's been snake-bitten, a player that's getting himself in a lot of good scoring opportunities. He just can't find the back of the net. And again, I'm not too worried about Bruno Damiani not scoring a ton of goals, 3 goals in 18 appearances, not great numbers. But how many times, you guys know this, you guys are smart watchers of MLS. It takes usually new players coming into the league about a year to adjust to MLS. And so we saw it with Daniel Gazdag. We saw it with, maybe not so much Mikau. We saw it with Ty Baribo, even though he wasn't really given too much of a chance. But you see it all the time, that it takes time for players to adjust to a new league, a new culture, new teammates. And so yeah, that's a huge goal for Bruno Damiani to score last night, even though, yeah, it's a penalty kick goal. But a goal is a goal, right? You get paid to score goals. That's a big moment early in the game. 8th minute, Chris Donovan wins that penalty kick. Bruno Damiani steps up and puts it right in the left corner. Goalkeeper doesn't even react here. It's a perfect penalty kick from Bruno Damiani. If I'm not mistaken, he also scored a penalty against Pittsburgh Riverhounds in the U.S. Open Cup. You guys correct me if I'm wrong on that, but Michael says, sounds like that they're just pondering to Messi by bringing Jordi Alba instead. Big surprise talking about the All-Star Game. And Shane says, Shaggy, says, love how you say Maryland, not Maryland. Ha ha ha. Yeah, Maryland. Michael says, interview after Bruno said his last year was like this, and the second half of the season he picked up his goals. Yeah, and looking at the stats, obviously didn't watch the time he spent with Nacional down in Uruguay. But looking at the stats, that's exactly what it looked like. And second half of the season, if Bruno Damiani can maybe carry some of that weight off of Ty Baribo's back, where he has 13 goals for the Union. But we talk about it all the time here on the show, where Union have 15 different goal scorers this year. So many players continue to contribute. We're going to talk about that again tonight. Bruno Damiani steps up last night, scores that penalty kick goal. And the Union don't create a ton of meaningful chances last night. Not a ton of huge chances, but when they do get an opportunity, yes, it's a penalty kick. Bruno Damiani makes no mistake about it. And now the pressure is on Chicago Fire, who coming into this game had only won one game at Soldier Field. They have more wins on the road, 6, compared to their only one win at Soldier Field, which is crazy. And you guys talked about it. Completely different atmosphere, completely different game from last year in Chicago to what it was last night. Shaggy says, keepers have made the most outrageous saves on some of those Damiani shots. Absolutely. I mean, he's getting himself in good positions. He's just unable to put the ball in the back of the net. And I'm not worried about Bruno Damiani. I think a lot of people in this fan base probably aren't too worried, but of course, you're always going to have your people that complain, people that are always going to be Debbie Downers and want to act like the sky's falling. But why does the sky have to be falling when the Philadelphia Union are in first place and when they need it most? Different players step up, and that's been the key. I would say that's been the whole like rally cry for this team is just, who's going to step up tonight. And it seems like every single game that there's a different player stepping up. And here's a question for you guys. Maybe at the beginning of the season, I didn't feel this way, but now I do. I go into every game expecting the Union to win. And yeah, that helps that they're on a 11-game unbeaten run. But when they go on the road, I haven't been scared about a Union road performance in years. It seems like they finally corrected their home form after only winning 4 games last year at Subaru Park. And so now I go in with the mindset that, look, the Union have a chance to win every single game. They're in every single game. It doesn't matter who's missing because time and time again, players are stepping up. They're finding ways to get results. This team is completely brought into how Bradley Cornell and this coaching staff want to play. It's when one player is missing. All right, the next one gets his opportunity. And it looks like you're not missing much. And I was thinking about this, no offense to Jeremy Rafanello last night, but you see him slotting in there for Danley John Jock, who unfortunately gets knocked out of the Gold Cup with Haiti. And so had some much needed time off. We'll see if he's in the squad this Sunday against Columbus. But Jeremy Rafanello steps in to partner Jovan Lukic as the other number 6. And I thought Jeremy Rafanello looked really good on the night. He controlled the midfield with Jovan Lukic. And we saw that last year in Portland too, that he can play as that defensive midfielder. The point I'm trying to make is it doesn't seem like the drop-offs that much where, yeah, you have your clear starters and Jovan Lukic and Danley John Jock, but whether it be a Jesus Bueno or Jeremy Rafanello or an Alejandro Bedoya, it really doesn't seem like the drop-off is that much because players continue to produce. They continue to step up. And Jeremy Rafanello's another one of those recipients last night that gets to take advantage of injuries, players away on international duty. And it doesn't seem like he skips a beat, makes his first start of the season last night. You also see the debut of Eddy Davis for the Union, who's primarily played with Union 2 the last 2 seasons. So you had to see Eddy trust it. And let's not forget, it's only a 1-0 lead. You bring Eddy Davis to help close out the game in the 88th minute. Yeah, it's towards the end of the game, but there was still 5 minutes of added time. And so Eddy Davis is playing meaningful minutes in this game. He's playing 7 minutes. And we'll talk about it here in a bit, where it was a huge chance towards the end of the game with Chicago Fire off of a set piece. Brian Gutierrez, Jakob Glesnes clears the ball off the line. You bring Eddy Davis in to press, to make things difficult for that back line of Chicago Fire. You want Eddy Davis to press and take the ball to the corner. And he did his job. And time again, when Bradley Cornell makes those changes, they always seem to work out, which is crazy. Some of that's luck, but also some of that I would say is, Bradley Cornell just having complete trust in this roster. And these players are going to give their all once a manager puts that trust in them, puts them in these situations. And so, yeah, love to see Eddy Davis make his debut last night. Love to see Jeremy Rafanello come on and make his first start of the season. And again, not make it seem like they miss much. Alejandro Bedoya starting as the right back. We'll talk about that in a bit because I have a lot to say about that. But again, this is a team completely bought into the way how the Union want to play under Bradley Cornell. And Shaggy says the Chicago stadiums were empty last night. Props to the Union, definitely for locking down last night. That's a huge stadium to try to sell out. So I don't blame the fan looking, the stadium looking pretty empty just because of how big Soldier Field is. I mean, it's meant to host NFL games, not so much MLS games. And yeah, the Fire are getting a brand new stadium, which I'd imagine is going to be much smaller than Soldier Field, but pretty cool to see that they're going to get a soccer specific stadium in downtown Chicago. So it's definitely one to check out if you guys haven't been to Chicago. I would definitely say too, check out Soldier Field for a soccer game if you haven't. It's a beautiful stadium, and I really enjoyed my time last year when I was there. John says the pressing in the beginning of the game was amazing. Absolutely. Jillian says it was awesome to see Eddy make the debut. Well deserved. My buddy Jim says the fact that different players are contributing rather than relying on one or two players shows that everyone is all in, regardless of the style of football that Bradley Cornell wants to play. And shout out to Jim. It's 1 o'clock, going on 2 o'clock in England, and you're up. You must be working or something. I have no clue why you're up this late, but I appreciate you checking in second time this year for the live show. You're a real one, Jim. Shaggy says, save Bueno. Having all U2 players on bench was wild, but wow, they are all ready to play. And we might see another one play this weekend in Neil Pierre, since Jakob Glesnes is going to be out on yellow card accumulation. Jem says, I love your t-shirt. People who aren't watching this live, it is a Foul Raven t-shirt from Sweden. Jem, you can go ahead and tell me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly or not. But yeah, lovely brand that you taught me in Denver. We got a lot of these shirts in jumpers, and yeah, this is so comfy. A little bit pricey, but yeah, they feel good. They look good, and a really, really well quality shirt. So yeah, shout out to Foul Raven. Michael says subs were fantastic with such a limited roster. Also, I saw Neil ready to go near the end there. Yeah, and he might make the start on Sunday against Columbus Crew. Shaggy says, I like Curtin, but never would have seen that lineup and bench under Curtin. Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to see all the substitutions that Bradley Cornell's been making. Only makes 3 last night, but Marcus Anderson probably doesn't come on under Jim Curtin since he was in the doghouse last year after that mistake in Cincinnati. Eddy Davis, I'm not sure if he's trusted to close out a 1-0 game. Macania probably doesn't play much this season either. But look, again, credit to players for stepping up when Bradley Cornell believes in them. Anything else before we get into topics? The Union, a couple stats for you guys. 11 times this season that the Union have scored the first goal of the match. So that's 11 out of 19 times. 8 times that the Union have went into the half with a lead. I was a little bit surprised by this, that was the Union's first time on the road this season where they have 6 away wins. The first time this season on the road that they went into the half with a lead. Shocked. Absolutely shocked. The Union have a record of 12-3-4, 40 points, 4 points clear of San Diego for the Supporters Shield lead. 6 away wins on the season, which is tied for Cincinnati and Chicago for the most in MLS, which is also 1 away from the Union tying the record in 2022 of 7. And yeah, I mean, this is a team that you guys have talked about it a little bit. The press was really outstanding. You mentioned it, John, at the beginning of the game. Forced a lot of turnovers by Chicago in this game. But the one thing I noticed, the Union were always winning those 50-50 balls. The Union were always first, it seemed, to getting to those loose balls in the midfield, in the defense. And yeah, the press plays a big part of that. But this is a team that's just completely locked in right now. It doesn't matter who starts. It doesn't seem like you're missing much. And so to see this team come out with that belief after having 5 days off because of the mandatory break, and we'll play Bradley Cornell's thoughts towards the end of the show about that. Yeah, this is a team that seemed like from the first minute to the end of the game, they were ready to show up, and they were fantastic all night long. John says Jim basically made no subs a couple times. He had a weak bench a few times last year. Yeah, exactly. That's always going to be the knock on Jim. Never really made too many substitutions. Shaggy says Bedoya playing right back. Absolutely amazed at how well he played in work. And yeah, might as well get to that right in here. Alejandro Bedoya steps in as the 4th choice right back with Nathan Harriel away on international duty with the U.S. men's national team at the Gold Cup. Frankie Westfield out because of a sprained ankle. Hopefully he's not out too long, but with sprained ankles, you never really know how long those take to recover from, how long it's going to take for the swelling and whatnot to go down. So hopefully Frankie's not out that long. And then you had Olivier Bizo, who was questionable heading into this game with an adductor injury. Doesn't make the bench, doesn't start, obviously. And so Alejandro Bedoya steps up and tells Bradley Cornell, I'm going to play right back. This is what we're going to do. Bradley Cornell wanted to play Jovan Lukic as the right back. But Bedoya, to his credit, said to Bradley, I'm going to play right back. I feel comfortable playing right back. And Bradley Cornell listened to his captain. And this is what Bradley had to say on the exchange.
Ale's shown he's a real teammate. He understands that we're on a special mission here. And it's easy for me as like the general to send these guys in and tell them exactly what I want to do. The plan was to play Lukic at right back. And the boys came the next day and said, well, we've discussed this and we've discussed that. And what do you think about me playing at right back? And I was like, this is awesome. For the team to commit to something bigger than themselves, for me, this was the aha moment that I've been waiting for 18, 19 match days. For the team leader, Ale Bedoya, we have a bunch of leaders, but Ale Bedoya saying he's going to sacrifice himself against one of the best wingers in the league with Bamba and shuts him down the way he did. For me, this is excellent news for us as a group.
All right, so I want to pull up this question from Jam. He says, Todd, question for you. How's the team going now despite everyone doing the part? Who is your standout player this season so far? Well, I don't know, Jam. I gave you access to MLS Season Pass, so maybe you should watch the games yourself. Come on now. Don't ask my opinion. But my standout player, man, I mean, so many. I mean, Frankie Westfield's a player that who really knew that Frankie would be up to speed this quickly with MLS play. Is really battle Nathan Harrier hard for a right back spot. Kai Wagner's been excellent as always. Ty Baribo, up until last night, was the leading goal scorer. Sam Search scores a hat trick for Nashville. Now he's in the lead with 15 goals. Ty Baribo with 13 goals. So, I mean, so many guys. Stanley John Jock's been amazing. Jovan Lukic. I mean, honestly, too many players to name, but I would say probably between Kai Wagner, Frankie Westfield, and Ty Baribo for the players that have stood out the most this season. But yeah, good question. But I would say, yeah, watch the games. Come on, Jim. You can watch them on replay. But I appreciate you being here, staying up so late, listening to the podcast, watching the podcast, and interacting with all of us here at 8:43 at night while it's almost 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. in England. John says Bamba didn't even get past LA once. Amazing performance. John also says standout playing based on my expectations at the start of the season has to be Daniel Alawatu Makanya for standout players. And Jem says that's an excellent attitude for a player sacrificing himself for the better of the team. Domesticated Hoagie says, I am late. What did I miss? And I told her I would do this. But Domesticated Hoagie, she's a boss. If you guys aren't following her on Instagram, you got to follow. Always great content. And I'll go ahead, give the handle. It is Domesticated Hoagie. That is all it is. Just like it is in the comments for you guys. Domesticated Hoagie. Give her a follow. Great content. looked like a boss lady in her story. I told her the Polish boss. So yeah, give Domesticated Hoagie a follow. She says, Todd, don't get me in trouble. LOL. Nah, follow her. Everybody in the comment section right now, people listening back to this podcast, you gotta follow Domesticated Hoagie. One of the best parts of the show. Love the comments. Thank you for showing up on the show tonight, even though you're 40 minutes late. Better late than never, right? But going back to Alejandro Bedoya's performance, I mean, yeah, looked great against Jonathan Bamba. And Bamba definitely has the speed, definitely has the legs over Alejandro Bedoya. And I posted a clip. I don't want to share it on the show in case, Apple's watching and they decide to shut down the live stream. But it's a play where Alejandro Bedoya in the 50th minute, a ball gets played into Bamba. Alejandro Bedoya cuts off the angle, slows down Bamba's run. He knows that he has the legs. He knows he's quicker than him, but he cuts off the angle, slows him down just enough, and eventually, tackles the ball off of him. Unfortunately, Chicago retained possession and Jakob Glesnes fouls, and now it's a free kick opportunity for Chicago Fire. But Alejandro Bedoya held his own as a right back. This is a guy who will do anything for the team. He is the captain. He is Mr. Philadelphia Union. And not to put Jose Nunez under the bus, but, he did question, is it worth bringing back Alejandro Bedoya? What does Bedoya offer you other than the leadership between the players and the coaching staff, which is huge. Don't want to undermine that. But Bedoya isn't the same that he was 5 years ago, which I get it. We all get that. That is fair. But Bedoya proved last night he still has a role to play on this team. Whether it's as a defensive midfielder, whether it's as a attacking midfielder, whether it's as a right back. I saw some people joking on social media last night, well, maybe he should play center back against Columbus now that Jakob Glesnes is suspended because of yellow card accumulation. But Bedoya, to tell Carnell, who wanted to play Jovan Lukic, hey, I'll go ahead and play right back so Jovan doesn't. That's huge. And I think this game actually goes differently, too, if Jovan's not playing as one of the 2 6s. Everything went through Jovan Lukic. You guys have watched his team 19 games into the season. Everything goes through Jovan in the middle of the field. He is the creator. Yes, a lot of chances created by Kai Wagner, a lot of those off of corner kicks and whatnot. But when the Union want to attack down the middle, when they want to spring the ball out wide to the fullbacks, it starts with Jovan Lukic. Jovan Lukic has 2 goals on the season. He's taking these chances from outside the box. He's a player that is the maestro of this team. And so you play Jovan Lukic as a right back, you lose that in the middle. And this game probably looks a lot different if Jovan's playing as the right back and not Alejandro Bedoya. And so for Bedoya to say, look, I will play right back. I've had experience playing as a right back before. Haven't done it in a while, but I will do it. Whatever this team needs, I will do it. And Bradley Cornell to say, this is exactly what I wanted. 18, 19 games into the season. This is the mentality that I wanted. I don't think it's a question of Alejandro Bedoya not being committed to this team. I don't think that's what Bradley Cornell is saying. But he's wanting players to say, I will do whatever it takes for this team. We are building something special. And 19 games through the season, the Philadelphia Union, 40 points. First team, 240 points this season. Lead the Supporters Shield standings. It's that I'll do anything attitude that this whole team shows. Marcus Anderson, we talked about him last episode. Been playing as a attacking midfielder with Union too. He's doing whatever it takes. Whatever the team needs. Yeah, it may not be with the first team, but he's doing it for the second team. And that's the culture that Bradley Cornell's created. And yes, winning helps. And when you get winning results, players are more willing to do whatever it takes. But even when things aren't going your way, this team still has that mentality. I will do whatever. Yeah, it sucks that we traded Daniel Gazdag away a few months ago to Columbus Crew. But you know what? I'm not going to stop that from doing my job. Oh, we have 9 players miss this game because of international duty and injuries. No, I'm still going to show up and do my job. The mentality of this team is insane. And you continue to see players step up. Go ahead and read some comments. A lot of comments coming in here, guys, as I went on that rant. Michael says he held up Bamba well, knowing he wasn't as athletic as him. Absolutely. Mark Kelkenberg says, I do anything the Todd father says. I appreciate that. Shaggy says, Todd says, I shall do. Shaggy also says, but seriously, what do we do with Rick and Blake? I'm all in with Pickle Rick. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I mean, Rick's played well, 4th clean sheet of the season, but I do think it's harsh not to keep playing Andre Blake. I do think that Andrew Rick's making it difficult with his distribution out of the back. And when he comes up with the saves, yeah, I think Andre Blake's a better shot stopper. And yeah, to your point, yeah, Blake didn't look great with Jamaica at the Gold Cup. They get knocked out. But I do think that at least through the end of the season, it's Andre Blake's spot. He is the starting goalkeeper for this team. But I do think Andrew Rick's at the point. Jose and I have talked about it so many times on the show where you probably need to loan Andrew Rick out to play at higher quality than MLS Next Pro. Probably should be in the USL. Jose talked about there being interest, but nothing ever materialized, and Andrew Rick stayed with the Union. Maybe that changes in the summer. Who knows? But yeah, Andrew Rick does need to be playing consistently. Cole says he would go all in with Andrew Rick. Shag says, don't forget to like and sub to this show, but I think he's also talking about domesticated hoagie as well. Mark says that settle spin dribble, then unfortunately high shot was a great Yervon sequence. Absolutely. Something that I need to include in the goals breakdown video. Cole says, I don't think there's anything that anyone on this team would not do for one of their teammates. Shaggy says, agree, Cole. Jem says, including picking up this. I'm not reading that. Oh my gosh. Shaggy says, can't wait until Jan Glavinovic returns. And then Michael says, Indy said he'd shave if we make the playoffs. How's that not committed? Yeah, shave his beard. Like, come on. It's a great stash from Indiana Vassilev. But yeah, the performance by Alejandro Bedoya, playing 90 minutes, completing 36 out of 41 passes, 1 out of 4 tackles, 5 ball recoveries, 5 out of 8 ground duels, 1. He has such a high soccer IQ, and it was on display. I mean, every time you see Alejandro Bedoya play, it's on display. How many times over the years have we seen Alejandro Bedoya make a run towards the right post when the Union are attacking, and then he plays that cutback pass? It happens every single time. It's a typical Alejandro Bedoya play, and it seems like the opposition never picked that up. So many times we've seen the Union on corner kicks go towards that near post, and Bedoya would be the one flicking it on. He's a player that's always 3-4 steps ahead of, it seems like, most players on the field. And yeah, that's something you can't teach. You know, you're just born with a high soccer IQ, and that's what Alejandro Bedoya is born with. But I made a post last night highlighting this play that we were talking about where he stops Bamba. And I said, he has a strong mentality. You can teach that. You can surround players with players like an Alejandro Bedoya, like an Indiana Vassilev, a Jakob Glesnes, a Andre Blake, and the list goes on and on. You guys know the leaders of this team. You can surround players with those type of players, and it's just going to seep into these players that, hey, look, this is how so-and-so goes about his business. I should be doing the same thing too. And I said personally that the United States men's national team need more players like Alejandro Bedoya's mentality. They are missing an Alejandro Bedoya. Bedoya was my favorite player for the U.S. men's national team when he was playing for them. I thought he's a player that always went about his business well, always gave 100% for the badge, does the same thing for the Philadelphia Union. I mean, the Union have been blessed with Bedoya. But that men's national team, they are missing players like Bedoya's mentality. And the Union are reaping the rewards of that. And I was hurt when, Greg Berhalter was talking about in 2018 how, yeah, they want players with that experience, that veteran leadership. I thought Bedoya probably should have been selected to go to the World Cup back in 2018 with Union. He was playing well, I thought, but then obviously the U.S. missed out on the World Cup. But then 2022, is when Greg Berhalter, that's what I'm talking about. 2022, Greg Berhalter says that they wanted to have a veteran player. I think Bedoya should have been selected to go to the World Cup. Not starting, but just being there for the guys, the mentality. And obviously doesn't get selected for the 2022 squad, but has a fantastic season for the Union. A big part of the reason why the Union went to MLS Cup that year against LAFC. But yeah, the Union and Alejandro Bedoya, match made in heaven. And he absolutely still has a role to play on this team. And you saw it last night, playing as a right back. Fantastic. Is he going to play that spot every single game? Absolutely not. It's Nathan Harriel and Frankie Westfield. But when you have three right backs, which was probably your strongest position on this team, all out because of injury or international duty, you need players stepping up. And Alejandro Bedoya was that player that stepped up last night. But another player that I think that stepped up, probably my man in the match, was Jakob Glesnes. Best performance of the season. And I don't think there's any debate. Well-deserved honor to get selected for the 2025 MLS All-Star Game. Made his 200th career start for the Union last night, again, in all competitions. He had 4 blocks. Union had 6 total. Jakob Glesnes was on fire. He read the game so well last night. Good partnership with Alejandro Bedoya on the right side of the field. You know, it's not a natural position for Bedoya. When's the last time Bedoya has played as a right back? It's been a minute. I think he's filled in there as to close games out, but start the game, to play all 90 minutes as a right back, well done to Alejandro Bedoya for playing that well as a right back. And a big part of it is, you know, Jakob Glesnes, you know, I'm sure helping making him comfortable there. The constant communication between these guys. Again, you have 2 of your biggest leaders on the field playing right next to each other. 2 guys that have high soccer IQs, read the game well. And maybe it shouldn't be a surprise that they lock down the right side of the field for the Union, because you know what you get from these 2 guys. But yeah, Jakob Glesnes, biggest play of the night was that goal line clearance. The set piece play towards the end of the game that Chicago Fire has. It's a ball shot in by Brian Gutierrez, goes through traffic, beats Andrew Rick. But there's Jakob Glesnes right on the line to clear this away. And the Union are able to squeak out a 1-0 performance. And this is a player that a lot of fans, myself included, saying that, yeah, he's probably past it. His legs aren't what they once were. Jakob Glesnes isn't what he once was back in 2022, 2023. Has a bad season with the Union last year. And now he's going to the All-Star game. He's been one of the best center backs in MLS. Last night was his best performance for the Union. Not a single mistake from Glesnes last night. Yeah, there's been moments this season, towards the beginning of the season, where there was messes here and there by Glesnes, but he seems to have corrected them. He seems to have really just got them out of his system. And yeah, last night was the most complete game by Jakob Glesnes. And this is what Bradley Cornell had to say after the game on Glesnes' performance.
There's a willingness to compete at the highest level. There's a willingness to perform. There's a willingness to back my teammate. There's a willingness to keep the clean sheet. Yeah, listen, can we be cleaner? We can be cleaner. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's not. But, you know, we spoke about a lot of things and having a high performance mindset going into this game. And while, you know, quality might range from a 1 to a 10 throughout the game, throughout 1 minute, but the performance of the mindset should never drop, you know, below a 7 out of 10, and always stay locked in, next play mentality. And Jacob was sharp tonight, stepping up and being brave and, you know, blocking shots and doing everything necessary. And that's why he gets the All-Star call-up.
And again, you hear Bradley Cornell talk about the mentality. It's the whole team. The whole team has that mentality. I will do whatever it takes for this team. I will put my body on the line. I will block shots. 4 block shots for Jakob Glesnes last night. Union had 6 total. Jakob Glesnes had 4 of them. It's a player that's put all of it on the line. He was fantastic last night for the Union. And to see him, you know, to have the performances that he's had this season, where the center back looked a little bit shaky. You go out and get Jan Glavinovic, and then he's out with a meniscus injury. Alawata Makanya, you didn't really know what you had there with him. Jack Elliott leaves the Union to go to Chicago Fire. Union didn't want to pay him what he was asking. And I can't say that I blame the Union. For you guys that haven't seen the MLSPA salaries, I'll go ahead and read what Jack Elliott's making. He's making over $1 million this season. And I don't blame Ernst Tanner for not wanting to pay that when Jakob Glesnes is already making $1.2 million. And yeah, it feels a little bit harsh if you pay 2 center backs over $1 million each. And so, yeah, I mean, Ernst Tanner proving that he's hit all the right buttons this season. And time again, you're seeing players step up. And I do worry a little bit what's Sunday going to look like with no Jakob Glesnes, again, suspended because of yellow card accumulation. But Neil Pierre, next man up mentality. I have faith in Neil Pierre Neil Pierre and Oluwatu Makanya had great chemistry last year with Union too. A big part of the reason why that team went to the MLS Next Pro Cup against Dallas last year was because of how solid those two were in the middle of the field. And so, yeah, maybe it isn't Neil Pierre, maybe it is, but fantastic performance by Jakob Glesnes. A little bit harsh that he misses the game against Columbus, and it's going to be a big miss because of how high of a level that Glesnes has been playing. But at the same time, should fans really be that upset because of all the players that have been stepping up this season? Shaggy says if Donovan could learn to make a proper cross, Union would have been up by 3. He does win the penalty kick, though, to be fair. He is the reason why the Union got the 1-0 lead is because his cross hit Andrew Gutman's hand. So I can't fault Chris Donovan too much. He is what he is. John says Indy was great last night, too. Shaggy says All-Star Glesnes doing All-Star things. He also says props to Tanner for keeping Glesnes and letting Elliott go. Michael says Glesnes had a legendary performance last night. Don't know if it was Bedoya on his right, but wow. Yeah, I do think those two have great chemistry, and Bedoya can speak a little bit of Norwegian, I believe, because of his wife. And yeah, I mean, just those guys read the game so well. High soccer IQ, and when you have multiple players on your team that have high soccer IQs, yeah, good things are going to happen. John says that's true. It was hard to tell which other team was worse last season. Yeah, that is true. That is true. And then Michael says, nah, Donovan will be your center back Sunday. Didn't Bradley Cornell say in a press conference that they played Chris Donovan in practice as a center back? You guys would know better than me. I mean, I listened to all the press conferences. I try to attend them all, but yeah, sometimes I forget what Bradley Cornell says in all of them. But I feel like he said that Chris Donovan's played as a center back before in practice. But as we get ready to wrap up the show, 2 more segments to go through. One thing I want to just bring up quickly, and I've been talking about it all night long, is just, this team just continuing to grind out results despite players away on international duty, despite players being injured. Players are stepping up. Who's going to be the player to step up on Sunday against Columbus? But the one thing that Bradley Cornell made known heading into this game on his Monday press conference was he wasn't too excited about the mandatory 5 days off because of the CBA. He respects it and everything, but that only gave the Union 4 days to practice before they had their game against Chicago Fire. And now they have to turn right back around and play against Columbus on Sunday. And so this is what Bradley Cornell had to say about that moment in preparing for this game against Chicago.
Listen, I mean, I'm happy about the 3 points. I'm not happy about how the team has to prepare 4 days after 5 days off. For me, it doesn't make sense. We put ourselves at risk. We put ourselves at harm's way, injuries. And it's just, yeah, for me, it's so tough to prepare a team to go play in Chicago on a Wednesday night, and then you got to turn around and play Columbus on a Sunday. So yeah, a little bit frustrated about that, but we'll start, seeing who's available tomorrow.
And so he said that after last night's game. So today, Thursday is tomorrow. So hopefully the Union get good news back about a Frankie Westfield, a Olivier Bazo, Danley John Jock, hopefully back from international duty with Haiti. Hopefully he's good to go on Sunday against Columbus. But again, you guys have seen it time and time again. We've talked about it a lot tonight. I'm sure we're continuing to talk about it as the season unfolds. The Union continue to have players step up. And now the question is, who steps up Sunday against Columbus Crew? But real quickly, I guess I'll do another segment. If I'll ask you guys this too. If you guys had to pick your 3 best players for the Union last night, the 3 stars of the match, who would you guys pick? For me, I'm going Jakob Glesnes number 1, Alejandro Bedoya number 2, and then you got to give it to Bruno Damiani number 3 because he scores the goal. But Jovan Lukic, I think, was excellent last night. Indiana Vasilov, I saw somebody mention he had a good game last night. Kai Wagner also solid last night. Oluwatu Makanya solid last night. But yeah, for me personally, it goes Glesnes, Bedoya, and then Damiani. Would be curious, you guys in the chat, you guys listening back to this, who would you guys say were the 3 best players last night for the Union? Valerie says, agree with your 3 with Glesnes, Bedoya, and Bruno Damiani for the 3 best players on the night. But as we go from a positive to a negative in this really like bothers me, and I'm sure you guys have seen it on social media. Cole, I'll get this one in here real quick. Says Glesnes, Bedoya, Lukic. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that Glesnes and Bedoya were definitely the two best players for the Union last night. Shaggy says Glesnes, Bedoya, and Jovan. So yeah, a couple of you guys agree. Again, still get the comments in. You guys think were the three best players for the Union, and I'll go ahead and read them as we go on. But yeah, we go from a positive to a negative because that's what Blunder of the Week is. It's always a negative. And when I saw these pictures online, I was sick. And I said it at the beginning of the show, or maybe I didn't. I said it to Jose Nunez on the phone. I haven't watched a single Club World Cup game this summer. Just I have new interest in watching this tournament. Yeah, seeing the videos of the atmosphere, reading Kyle's articles, reading Jose's article about the tournament and everything. I'll support those guys doing that. I'll watch the videos people are posting of the atmosphere, but I really have no interest in watching the games. The Blunder of the Week is going to go to the bench players for Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich. And you guys may be saying, well, Todd, why is that? Why are you giving bench players Blunder of the Week? Well, it's simple. I'll show you guys the pictures here that are watching this live. This is a picture of the Bayern Munich players in a locker room during their match. Dortmund did it first in Cincinnati. It was 87 degrees. It was humid. But 87 degrees? What are you doing? Dortmund started it, and then Bayern Munich became the next team to do it. Having your players watching the game on a TV, sitting in the locker room because it's too hot? What are we doing?
Yeah, not good.
No, not good at all. Like, I get it. It's hot here in America. These European players aren't used to it. But my question is, okay, you're eventually going to bring players off the bench. How do you expect to get them to go out there and warm up? Like, do you send a call? Do you send a coach to go into the locker room and say, hey, give me Joshua Kimmich, give me Harry Kane, start warming up? These guys have been in AC the whole time, and now you're asking them to go out into the heat where now their body has to get adjusted to that. They're going to be warming up. Wouldn't it just be better for them to be outside sitting on the bench, experimenting the heat, the humidity, where their bodies are going to be able to acclimate to it, as opposed to sitting in nice air condition? And now, hey, look, we want you to warm up because you're going to be coming into the game. What are we doing? What are we doing? And I've seen so many players this summer complain, oh, the pitches aren't good. Oh, it's just way too hot. The World Cup, if this is the mentality players are going to have, the World Cup is going to be a complete crap show. And maybe that gives the United States a chance, right? Because as Americans, we should be used to this no matter what. And it is a little bit crazy to me that we're having the World Cup, we're having the FIFA Club World Cup in multiple cities and everything, and just the amount of travel, how big America is. Like, it is crazy. I get you want all these places to experiment the tournament, but it's so different, this country, with the atmosphere of the weather. And so it's a lot of adjusting. And then you have, for the World Cup, going down in Mexico, where elevation is going to be so high. And then you're going to be playing at places like Philadelphia, like New York, where the elevation is not as high as it is in Mexico. I mean, wow. I can't wait for the comments for the World Cup. Oh, yeah, it was hard to breathe, and that's why we played bad. And you've seen the most successful teams in the FIFA Club World Cup this summer be the South American teams. They're not using it as an excuse. They're just going about their business and playing. And so it's a joke to see these pictures, and I'll pull it up here one more time. The pictures of Bayern Munich players and Dortmund players just sitting in a locker room, a nice, cool AC, because it's too hot. What kind of mentality is that? I mean, it is a joke. That, I mean, what are we doing? What kind of mentality is that? Seriously, like, how is that benefiting you? Oh, it's too hot. Come on now, give me a break. I'll read your guys' comments. Mark says, give us the blunder. Domesticated Hoagie says, yeah, not good. John says, Chicago's security. I did see that. That was wild. Arresting a guy who was taking a picture or a video of a guy getting escorted out. It's insane. Michael says, I know what it could be. Says, LOL. Shaggy says, dude, they were told not to go into the field. That's not their fault. That's manager / sporting director. Okay, it might not be their fault because they were told not to go on the field, but still, like, what are we doing? Like, that mentality, like, it makes no sense to me. Go out there. That's not doing you any favors. You're not getting used to the weather. You would acclimate better if you're sitting out there. I don't see Chelsea players. I don't see Boca players. I don't see River Plate players. I don't see insert team here making excuses that it's too hot. That yeah, we're gonna keep you in the cool, nice AC. So yeah, it may not be the players. It may well be the managers and the sporting directors, but still, it's like, what kind of mentality is that? That it's so poor. Domesticated Hoagie says the air quality was poor. Yeah, maybe part of it. May absolutely be part of it. Air quality's been bad here this week in Maryland. I know it's been up there in Philadelphia, but again, you didn't see the Dortmund game. It was in Cincinnati, 87 degrees. A lot better weather than it's been here on the East Coast. Michael says, aren't you supposed to be warmed up, ready to go? Absolutely. Valerie says, so it's a manager / sporting director blunder. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we don't want to make it the players. Fine, whatever. But the issue is, like, this is a weak mentality. Valerie and Domesticated Hoagie talking about, yeah, we should up late to the show. Shaggy says, those guys were never going in the first half. The pitch better be better for the World Cup. They have every right to complain about that. Yeah, I mean, some of these pitches I've been in there for a couple months or so, or at least 3+ weeks. I don't think the fields, from pictures I've seen, don't look terrible. But look, come on. We're really going to complain? Domesticated Hoagie says, yeah, this isn't CONCACAF. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at the fields down in CONCACAF. I mean, God, some of those fields are horrible that we've seen. Saprissa. We all know the field that the Union had to play down in Costa Rica against Saprissa was god awful. Can you imagine if some of these European players were having to play on that? I mean, yeah, then maybe the complaints are justified. But every time we see the CONCACAF Champions Cup, a lot of those fields look really bad. But guess what? You still got to play on them. And it is insane to me. It is insane the amount of excuses we've seen from players and sporting directors, managers throughout this tournament. Michael says, I want to see some subs sitting in those clear pods like I see some parents use at my kids' game. It's literally like a grow tent for people so they don't get wet or cold. Yeah, exactly. And didn't they have those tent things last night at the Chicago Fire game, if I'm not mistaken? Domesticated Hoagie says, and if so, maybe don't post it on social media. Yeah, exactly. Like, media's not going into the locker room taking these pictures. It's the social media accounts for these teams. Like, it's not a good look at all. Like, I don't understand. What's the point of showing, oh yeah, look, here's our players in the locker room. Like, it's making you look so bad. Kyle Albany says, hi, Todd. What's up, Kyle? It seems like everybody's joining the show late tonight, but at least you guys are here. Mark says, I won't even talk about the Club World Cup with European club staffs anymore because they all hate the tournament. Mark's friend, apparently. Valerie says, I vote for the brawl at the end of the River Plate versus Inter Milan game as blunder of the week. Yeah, Dumfries and Acuna, was that between those two players? Yeah, that was boiling over from the World Cup last season, or not last season, in 2022. And yeah, those two players meet once again. Valerie's Mark says, yeah, Val, I want to see Dumfries throw down. Yes, I was right. Dumfries and Acuna. Domesticated Hoagie says, I'm sitting in a grow pod now. Shaggy says, exactly. It's not CONCACAF. It's the World Cup, the biggest sporting event in the world. The quality of the pitch should be reflected as such. And then Valerie says, yes, Acuna. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of great blunder of the weeks and everything. And yeah, maybe we go back and give it to the security at the Chicago Fire game. Maybe we give it to Acuna and Dumfries for the brawl. I want to go ahead and pull up some of your comments when I asked you guys for your top 3 best players last night. John says Glesnes, Bedoya, Lukic for him as well. Michael says Glesnes, Damiani, Macania. Michael says Lukic is always good. So yeah, appreciate those comments, guys. But yeah, Blunder of the Week, always fun. And it's always fun having you guys join the show. And who knew that you could talk for an hour 10 for a 1-0 game? But like I said at the beginning of the show, if we're going to have a good show, it starts with you guys, the listeners, the chat, the best part of the show. But you guys know the drill by now. If you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod, wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick. Check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Free Kick Pod. We're live every single podcast. Goals breakdown video hasn't been made yet. We'll see. Do I record it tonight? Get it posted for tomorrow? Do I record it tomorrow after work? Maybe. And then if you guys want to check out the Substack where I post my articles, goals breakdown video, and the podcast all in one place, check out thefreekick.substack.com. And I did have to give you guys a update. So it is in the process. I told you guys last episode that a new intro would be made. It's in the process, and we will see. We will see if that gets made by the game against Columbus on Sunday. Maybe we have a new intro for the podcast on Monday. If not, then I would say definitely by the Nashville game. So I've got everything there for people to make a good intro video for us. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it, and hopefully the video comes out well. And also, I will do my best to try to get a match preview article out for the Columbus game on Sunday. But I am going fishing on Saturday. Me and my buddy, I haven't done this in a while. We're going out on the water at 3:30 in the morning just to beat the heat, to beat boat traffic and whatnot. And so depending on how tired I am, once I come back in, we may or may not have a match preview article for Columbus. But it is my goal. I'm going to make it a plan to try to get you guys that sometime on Saturday. And then, yeah, we'll see what happens with the goals breakdown video. Not going to be much, right? It's going to be basically the Bruno Damiani goal and the Jakob Glesnes highlight reel with the amount of blocks he had in this game. I gotta read this comment right here from Domesticated Hoagie. I just got 12 new followers. The Todd effect is real. Look, not everybody that's watching the show, Hoagie, is commenting, but they are following. And I guess you know who the people are since you got 12 new followers. So you're welcome for that. And we're one away from 350 followers on YouTube. So just like you guys subscribed, followed Hoagie on Instagram, go ahead and follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on social media, and on YouTube. We're trying to get to 500 followers by the end of the year. We're one away for 350. Who's going to be 350? We shall see. Shaggy says, Todd the God. Domesticated Hoagie says, that's blasphemy. Valerie says, the Todd father. Michael says, 12 more she has to shave her head. I like Kevin. Valerie says, fishing. Yes, fishing. Domesticated Hoagie says, my hair is half my personality. Now, that little action figure thing that you have in your purse now, I think that's your personality. You keep posting about it in your story. I have no clue what that is, Domesticated Hoagie, but I can tell you're definitely proud of it. Shaggy says, let's go. I mean, you get paid the big bucks. Let's get that content pumped out. Jokes. I wish I got paid the big bucks. Michael says, I had to mention Kevin's hair when I met him Sunday. He said, it grows quick. So yes, again, you guys, the best show, an hour 13 into this thing. Love the comments. Thank you guys for helping carry the show. Best part of the show. A lot of content coming out for you guys. I appreciate the feedback. And yeah, I'm excited for what this new intro is going to sound like. And hopefully I enjoy it and don't have to tell the guy to change it too much. And hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. But enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Stay cool. Stay safe. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.